Hi, this is Rob. I'm going to be showing you how to do the exercises that go along with the video lesson, Decimal Arithmetic. Are you ready? Let's go. For our first problem, we have 1.25 plus 6.4. And the first thing we need to do is rewrite it in stacked form, just like we used to before we cared about decimal numbers. We still need to do the same thing. The only difference is that we line up the decimal points instead of just the ones place digit. Although that's the exact same thing, because the ones place digit is defined by where the decimal point is. But the big difference is that we don't line it up by the last digit, which used to always be the ones place digit. All right, so we have 1.25. Then we have 6.4, and we have the decimal points lined up here. And if you want, you can put a 0 here as well, so all of the columns have a digit. Let's put the operation we're going to be doing. So we just go through this column by column just like we used to. So we have 5 plus 0 is 5. 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. So we're almost done. All we need to do is remember to put a copy of the decimal point in our answer. So 1.25 plus 6.4 equals 7.65. For problem 2, we have 15.3 plus 0.782. So once again, we'll rewrite this in stacked form. So we have 15.3, then 0.782. Let's go ahead and write the decimal point here so we know that it's lined up. And put the 0 here, 782. Put in our line and the operation we're going to be doing, addition. So now we just go column by column, and we go with the rightmost column, even though there's not digits in the top number. We can put them in if it helps. You can put in zeros right there. All right, so we have 0 plus 2 is 2. 0 plus 8 is 8. 3 plus 7 is 10. So we put a 0 in the answer line, and we carry the 1. Put it up there. 5 plus 1 is 6. And then 1 plus nothing is 1. And we're almost done. We just need to put a copy of the decimal point in our answer. And we have our answer of 16.082. For problem 3, we have 20.55 minus 3.4. And just like before, addition and subtraction are very similar, even with decimals. So we need to rewrite it in stacked form, just like we did with addition. So we have 20.55, and we need to line up by the decimal points again. So we have 3.4. The decimal points are lined up, and that means the ones place digits are also lined up, of course. Then we subtract, and it really helps when you're doing subtraction to put in zeros for the missing digits. Remember that you can't change the order, like 20.55, since it's the first number in this problem, has to be put on the top row. All right, so now we go through column by column, starting with the rightmost column, even though it's not the ones place digit, the column on the right. So we have 5 minus 0 equals 5. 5 minus 4 equals 1. We have 0 minus 3, and so we need to borrow 1 from this 2 here. So we'll put a 1 here, and we'll cross out this 2 and subtract the 1 we borrowed. So that would leave 1 there. So now we have 10 minus 3. That'd be 7. And we have 1 minus nothing. So that would be 1. And we're almost done. We just need to have a copy of that decimal point in our answer. So our answer is 17.15. For problem 4, we have 6.5 minus 2.86. So let's rewrite it in stacked form, making sure to keep the order the same. The first number goes on top, then the number being subtracted goes on bottom, and we need to keep everything lined up. So the decimal points are lined up, and all the other columns are lined up because of that. And I'll put a 0 here so I can keep track of the columns easier. So we have 0 minus 6, and we need to borrow for that. So we'll borrow 1 from this 5, and that leaves 4 here. So now we have 10 minus 6, which is 4. Now we have 4 minus 8, so we need to borrow for this as well. So we'll take 1 from this 6, which leaves us 5. Put that 1 there. So that makes that 14 minus 8, and that is 6. Now we have 5 minus 2, which is 3. Almost done. We just need to keep a copy of this decimal point in here in our answer. So our answer is 3.64. For problem 5, we have 4.15 times 0.5. So we'll rewrite these in stacked form, the numbers one on top of the other. And if we wanted, we could change the order, but there's no reason to. So we have 0.5. With multiplication, you don't line up the numbers by what place value they are. You just line up whatever digit is on the right. And before we were dealing with decimal numbers, that was always the ones place digit. But we're going to pretend for now that these don't even have decimal points, but we leave the decimal point in there so we don't forget how many spots we moved it in order to pretend that they weren't even there. We can treat this as if it's 415 times 5. So we just start with the digit on the right that's on the bottom, and then we go through digit by digit for the number on the top. So 5 times 5 is 25. Put 5 in the answer line, carry the 2. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. 5 times 4 is 20. And there's not another digit to carry that 2, so we just put both digits in the answer line. And then the next digit in the bottom number is 0, so we don't even need to do that one because it would just be a whole row of zeros, and we're just going to add it with this number. And so this number plus 0 is this number, so we don't need to do that. But what we do need to do is we need to fix the fact that we're pretending that these decimal points aren't here. And to do that, we had moved them 1, 2, 3 spots to the right. So we need to take the decimal point that's here, but we're not seeing, and move it 3 spots to the left, right here. So 4.15 times 0.5 is 2.075. For problem 6, we have 270.4 times 0.16. All right, so we do that the same way. We just rewrite it in stacked form. So we'll start with 270.4, and then we write 0.16 beneath it, and we just line up the last digit on the right, even though that's not the same place value as this digit here. We just line them up, and then we just ignore the decimal point for now. But what we're really doing is, for the time being, we're just moving it until it's to the right of the number, but we'll leave it in its spot so we don't forget. Then we go through and digit by digit. We start on the bottom, the rightmost digit, the 6, and then we multiply it by each of these digits. So 6 times 4 is 24, and we put the 4 in the answer line, carry the 2. 6 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. 6 times 7 is 42, so we put a 2 in the answer line and carry the 4. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 4 is 16. So we put both those digits in the answer line because there's no digit to carry it to. Then we go to the next digit in the bottom number. So we're going to be putting the answer on this line here. And the first thing we do, since this is one digit over, we put the first digit as a 0. All right, and then we go 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 2 is 2. Then we add these two numbers together. Let's put another line here. Put a plus sign there so we don't forget. 4 plus 0 is 4. 2 plus 4 is 6. 2 plus 0 is 2. 6 plus 7 is 13. Carry the 1. 1 plus 1 plus 2 is 4. And now we need to get the decimal point back in here, because this number is way too big to be the answer for that. Right? And to pretend that there weren't any decimal points, we moved the decimal points over 1, 2, 3. So to undo that, we need to move the decimal point back 3 to the left. 1, 2, 3. So it goes right there. So the answer to 270.4 times 0.16 is 43.264. For problem 7, we have 3.864 divided by 1.2. And with division, when you have a decimal number as the divisor, the first thing you need to do is to make it a whole number. And so to make 1.2 a whole number, we need to multiply it by 10 or move the decimal point to the right by 1 space, which is the same thing. So we'll move the decimal point over here. I cross off that decimal point. And we need to do the same thing to our dividend. We need to move its decimal point 1 spot to the right, which is the same as multiplying by 10. So now we have 38.64 divided by 12. And we can treat it pretty much just like regular division now, as long as we remember to bring a copy of this up into our answer when we're done. All right, so the first step is to ask, how many times does 12 go into 38? Well, that should be 3. So we'll put a 3 in the answer line right above the 8 because that is the chunk we're looking at right here. So we have 3 times 12, and that's 36. So we subtract that from 38. That leaves 2. Now we bring a copy of the next digit over, bring a copy of that down. So now we have 26, and we need to see how many times does 12 go into 26. Well, that would be 2. So put a 2 in the answer line. 2 times 12, 24. So we'll subtract that. So we have 26 minus 24 is 2. So we need to bring a copy of this 4 down. So now we have 24 down here. How many times does 12 go into 24? 2. 2 times 12 is 24. Subtract that, and there's no remainder. So we're almost done. All we have to do is bring a copy of the decimal point up into our answer. And now we see that 38.64 divided by 12 is 3.22, which is also the answer to our original question, 3.864 divided by 1.2. For problem 8, we have 795 divided by 1.5. And the first thing that we need to do is to turn this 1.5 into a whole number. Do that by multiplying by 10. So we move the decimal point one space to the right, cross that out. And we need to do the same thing to our dividend. But it doesn't look like it has a decimal point. But remember, there's always a decimal point after the ones place. It's just if there's no decimal digits, we don't show it. So we have 795 point, and we need to move that 1 to the right, but there's no digit to move it around. But remember, if we had a point here, we could show a 0 there. And so when we move the decimal point 1 to the right, we have 7,950. All right, so our problem now is 7,950 divided by 15. So we ask how many times does 15 go into 79? And the answer to that is 5. And 5 times 15 is 75. And we subtract that from 79, and that leaves 4 as the remainder. We bring a copy of the next digit over down, so 5. Now we have how many times does 15 go into 45? The answer to that is 3. So we have 3 times 15, which is exactly 45. Subtract that, that leaves us with 0. We bring a copy of the next digit down, but that also is a 0. So we have how many times does 15 go into 0? Well, 0. All right, so yeah, we can put 0 times 15. We can show, 0 minus 0 is 0. Of course, there's no remainder here. But since this is decimal division, we need to bring a copy of our decimal point up into our answer, but the decimal point is at the very end. It's already at the ones place digit. It doesn't need to separate anything. So I think you could get away with leaving the decimal point off if you want, but I'll go ahead and put it there just because it's a step to remember. So our original problem was 795 divided by 1.5, and we have 530 as the answer, which is also the answer to 7,950 divided by 15.